Once again, welcome back to Sole Free, your home for sneakers and street culture here on the Sole Free Radio Network. At home in our studio at Drake Media Network. Hit up Drake Media for all your production needs. They're the best. They're the best in the business. And once again, we are in the middle of the Sole Free Awards, our annual campaign. Go to solefreeradio.com to vote today. And speaking of that campaign, there is a category for Sneaker of the Year, which we'll get into everything, in a little bit. But right now, the Sneaker of the Week, we had to bring these back this week. They came out, a minute ago. And of course, there's the original. There's the original Wu-Tang Dunk, which is a grail shoe. The numbers are up into the 5 figures for those. But obviously in 2024, the shoe is reissued. There's a lot of controversy in the sneaker game about reissues. Personally, I think it's awesome. I think it's great to give people the chance to get a shoe that they always wanted. A lot of people can't spend $20,000 on a pair of dead stock, Dunks. But, obviously they have the means to spend $140. So I applaud Nike and, of course, Wu-Tang Clan for putting out this beautiful shoe, the color of the Killer Bees, the Wu-Tang Dunk. I was psyched to get this. I was very excited to get this. And I know today's guest on our show was equally as excited to get this sneaker. You might know him as the OMG sign guy, but he's so much more than that. So I would never besmirch his character by just calling him that. His company, J-Mac Customs on Instagram. You might know him as J-Mac. You might know him as Jerome. It's Jerome McCroy, and we are here with my guy today. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man? I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for a minute.
Yeah, we have, man. I think we've just been so busy doing different things. I mean, I know that we were talking around the time of Tribeca last year.
Yeah.
You had me out to the auto show.
Yep.
So I think it's just been, leading up to this.
Yeah.
So happy
We've
to
had
be
a lot
here.
of fun leading up to today.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
What about that card break, that impromptu card break session that we had in the middle of Barnes & Noble in Garden City?
We can attest that every time you do like a wax card break, sometimes you really don't get anything because we got nothing.
Yeah, we got nothing.
We literally got nothing.
We got nothing.
Talk to me about this Wu-Tang Dunk and what this sneaker meant to you, growing up and today.
Listen, growing up, when the shoe was originally released, I mean, even going back, like in high school, Enter 36 Chambers came out.
Yeah.
And it was like the anthem of senior year in high school. It was everything. We were there before it got released to the public with, Stretch and Bobbito, and we were all over it. We knew what was happening.
Yeah.
But, here we are 30 plus years later, and, there's been a ton of, every single artist in the group has had his own success. It's branched out into merchandise and a crazy amount of concerts. I mean, I have so many like Wu-Tang concert stories that I could bore you with, but it's been a part of my DNA growing up. I mean, just the hard hitting beats and the wordplay. I mean, you can go on and on. But when the shoe came out, I wasn't really collecting sneakers. I got into collecting sneakers later in life because I just had a different focus.
Yeah.
But when they came out, I mean, I know it shut down blocks and it became everyone's grail.
Yeah.
And if you have the shoe today, I mean, it's quite possible that the soles are crumbling underneath your feet, or you have it in a special box. So when they were re-releasing it, I was all over it. I was posting everywhere. If you could help me out with a pair, if you could link me up, I was texting you. I was texting every plug that I had, and every plug that I had pretty much dried up. With the exception of one. I'm actually, coincidentally, I had no idea we were going to talk about this shoe today. I'm wearing a pair of mochas that I was camping out in December of 2019. My wife had gotten me the shoe the day before, and I just wanted to double up. And I'm in line with a guy who's like, this is what he does. He's a reseller, so he's stocking up, trying to build his inventory. He's not a reseller now. He actually works for a store, and he's like, listen, man, we have a couple of extra pairs. Would you like one? And like, that was the easiest yes ever. I mean, I literally got off a plane coming home from a trip in Mexico. Right after the Mets were eliminated in the NLCS, I booked a trip because I just needed to relax. Got off the plane, dropped off my wife, and then went to Queens to pick up this shoe. And I did a whole unboxing video, but like just the happiness. I haven't even worn them yet. They're still in the box because I think I'm waiting for a special occasion. But you know, I have plans to like build my own box for it and all that stuff because like, you know, it's a special shoe, and I wanna hold on to it for as long as I can.
Yeah, and if anybody can build something special, it's you. You know, you have the means, you have the ways of doing it.
Yes,
And,
the ways of the Wu-Tang.
You know, when you talk about building something special, I don't think ever has a symbol. You know, I'm going to hold this up right here to the camera. The OMG sign has a project, has a piece of art ever changed a life, has given, you know, access in life to like this has to you last year. This was one of the most incredible stories of the season for me.
Oh my gosh! I mean, it was it was and it is life changing.
Yeah.
3 letters have like opened up so many doors for me, and has put me at a couple of different tables that I might not have you know, been at. I worked really hard to try to set myself apart within my craft of woodworking, and I work a lot with resin.
Yeah.
And
just to be fair, before we get too far into it, of course, in case you don't know, in case you were hiding underneath a rock, Jerome, you know, created the OMG sign that you saw the Mets. You know, it was the rally call. Forget Grimace, all right? Forget that. It's the OMG sign that brought us all the success this year. But, you know, way beyond that, you've been an artisan for years. You know, we first met, you created a beautiful, unique piece for Dwight Gooden.
Yes.
You know, before the season started, and you know, delving into your world, your artwork, the things you've created, way before OMG. You know, let's not get it twisted. This wasn't an overnight success kind of story. This is a lifetime of work that went into this that prepared you for this moment. You know, so let's take it from there.
You want to start from the beginning?
We'll take it from here. You know,
okay.
Yeah, we only have like 20 minutes.
Oh,
but, you know,
okay.
yeah. But we'll touch it. We'll touch it.
So OMG,
Yeah.
how it came about.
Yeah.
You know, I happened to earlier in the season. There was a lot of different things that I had been making that were Mets related. I made a lot of throwback '86 stuff, whether it be the symbol with baseball cards on it, or a throwback to the panels that were on Shea Stadium with the neon guys. But it wouldn't be neon. I actually just used like 3D and raised them out. Not a 3D printer, but cutting them out of wood and painting them to look neon. This year, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make my pieces larger. I wanted it to have a greater composition. So early on in the season, before we even got to the season, I started making some artwork for the Mets trip to London. So I made a Mets underground or overground, if you will, because the train that went to the stadium was above ground, so it was an above ground train. I made the Mets Willets Point underground sign.
Yes.
So I did that. I made Mr. Met in a boppy and the whole Royal Guard uniform as T-shirts that I knew that I was going to wear to London, and I made a couple of pieces that I brought with me. But I also wanted to do things that marked special occasions. So I had a plan to do something for opening day. I had also, when they announced that both Doc and Darryl were going to have their numbers retired, these are guys who I fell in love with watching as a kid when I first, my first go around with watching the Mets. So I knew I wanted to make something special for both Doc and Darryl. I had already started on a piece for Darryl back in August of last year, and I just kind of kept it in the can. Never painted it or did anything with it, but the 1st of January, all of this stuff started to kind of be put together. So I made a baseball card for Darryl, was able to give it to him at a signing event that he had over in Woodbridge Brewery. And then I made another one for Doc, and somebody I know in the autograph network said, "Hey, I can kind of get you in front of him, not at an event, like a private meetup." And he brought me to his house.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm going to one of my childhood heroes' homes and presenting this to him. And he was so gracious to me and my family, and it just felt so good to give him something.
Yeah.
And I didn't ask for anything in return.
Yeah.
All I wanted to do was hear his stories, shake his hand, and keep it moving. He signed a bunch of stuff for myself and for the kids, but it was just really nice to go there and experience that with him. made a piece for opening day, this really large Mets piece that had drip on it. I did a collaborative campaign with Danny Cortez and his team, and we rode the train in from Hudson Yards, took the 7 line in. We got on the train too early because there really wasn't enough buzz. We wanted to just really bring the energy, and by the time we get to the stadium, there's like maybe 3 people on the train. We had a couple of police officers with us. We're like, yeah, this isn't it. But when we finally got to the actual stadium, we went over to hang out with the 7 line. We walked all around the parking lot, and bringing larger scale signs into the stadium was something that people were expecting from me. So throughout the next few months, and obviously along with those first few months, the team wasn't doing too well.
Yeah.
You know, by the middle of May, I thought the season was already over, and we hit that, 22-33 point where Jorge Lopez throws his glove in the air out of disgust, says his team's the worst team in baseball, and people thought we were done. They have their team meeting. Jose Iglesias gets called up. They start chipping away. Get on the plane to London. First game was a bust. Second game, they win. And I shouldn't be surprised that they won that second game because it was my birthday. So I felt like I'm a big part of the responsibility of them winning. And then Grimace comes along. They go on a 8-game winning streak. And I watched Sunday Night Baseball, see the interview between Francisco Alvarez and Eduardo Perez, and they're talking about what's been the difference maker within the team. Has it been this song that he keep hearing about, or was it Grimace? And Francisco Alvarez said, it's OMG. And his glow about it and everything else just made me say,
it triggered something in you.
That's the next thing that I'm going to make. And that was on Sunday night. On Wednesday of that week, Jose had given out T-shirts to his team, to all the players of his team, ownership, etc. And I saw both him and Alex Cohen wearing the shirt, and I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it for them. And I cut 2 pieces on the Friday morning, like around, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm in the shop cutting for a few hours, gluing it together, and I made my way to the stadium. I got to the stadium around 4 o'clock because I like to get there early.
Yeah.
Taking pictures taking pictures outside. Nobody has any idea what I'm doing. But I tell people, I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. Now it's like, how many more pictures can I take? It's 5 o'clock. The K Corner's opened up. I'm like, well, I'm going to go get a beer. Go to the K Corner. I run into a friend who I used to work with, and I hadn't seen her in a while. She's a Yankees fan, but she's doing like a team building thing with her team. And she's like, let's hang out. And we're having a beer, and all of a sudden I see Mr. Met and Mrs. Met walk in, take a selfie with them. Then I hear Alex behind me saying, wow, what a beautiful sign. I turn around, I'm talking with her, and she's like, what do you plan on doing with this? And
so Alex Cohen, the owner of the Mets, asked you, what are you doing with this sign?
Yeah. And I said, I plan on keeping one, but I want to gift one to the team. Can you help me? And she's like, yes, as long as you sign the back, because I want to let them know that it's coming from a fan, not from me. So immediately I'm like signing the back, writing an excerpt on there, and she brings it to the team. I have no idea that it's in the dugout until I get a text message from my friend James. And he's like, dude, your sign's in the dugout. And he sends me a picture of Starling Marte just kind of leaning against it. Half inning later, first home run, Tyrone Taylor, and there's a picture with him and the sign. Then Pete Alonso goes deep, and then Jeff McNeil goes deep. Jeff McNeil's picture is on the back of the Newsday. Fast forward to, 12, 13 home runs later over the course of a 5-day span, the O pops off of the sign. Mm-hmm. And I'm like getting buried on Twitter. People are like, what kind of sign did you make that it can't even hold up? It was never meant to be a home run trophy. Right. They just made it organically into that. So I get to work not on the 4th of July. I kept that day for family, but on July 5th, I make a new sign, code it that
rebooted.
Rebooted it, and then I'm like contacting friends, like who's willing to do a crazy trip with me? And so, because I didn't want to drive to Pittsburgh alone, because I'm like, I'm going to make this sign, I'm going to drive it there. Yeah. So I hit up my buddy Ruben, and he's like, yeah, I'm down to go, of course. He's
we all got a Ruben
if
in
I
our
bring
life.
Jamie, and Ruben and Jamie were like split the driving, and like the 3 of us went up there, and we got to deliver the signs in the tunnel, gave it to Jose, met Edwin Diaz, was on the field, took a picture with Lindor, was talking to JD Martinez. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
And they came back and won that game.
That's right.
And fast forward to the last game of the season, they won the game in the same fashion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, this is some type of real like crazy destiny stuff going on right here. And it's been such a life-changing thing.
That's incredible. And I got to tell you, just watching the journey of you and the sign throughout the playoffs, and it was see you on the field with the sign of the team celebrating.
Yeah, it was wild.
It was amazing. Fast forward to today, the sign has been sent to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So J. Mac Customs, Jerome McCroy, who grew up a Mets fan with his little Mets hat and his jersey, cheering for his favorite team, is now part of Mets history in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't mind if you tear up here, but how does that hit 11-year-old Jerome?
I think every person who creates for a living wants to feel like, and it's funny, it's like on cue, you're getting me to cry. But no, I think every person who creates, there is that moment where you're just seeking for some type of validation.
Yeah.
And it's like the ultimate validation. I think about what it means to my son, what it means to my wife, who, the reason why I'm able to do what I do is because of her believing in me and her supporting times when I was not making it, when I was not, contributing as much as I am now.
Yeah.
So like all of those hard days, this is like the sweet stuff.
There's
This
no
is really,
401k with when you sign up to be an artist.
No.
There's no pension. Yeah.
No, there's no pension. It's just, you kind of ride the waves when you get them, and, you hope to have enough, business from month to month, because there are some months where, you don't get a phone call.
Yeah.
Or, someone who you started doing work with now can't pay you the other portion. And if it's between them making a choice between eating and not, I mean, it's a daily struggle with, I wouldn't say struggle, but you're managing not only the creation, but you're your own social media, you're your own HR, you're your own everything. So like it was the ultimate validation, and I was like literally weeks away from going back to the type of work that I used to do. I used to run retail stores. I worked for Old Navy, Blockbuster Video back in the days.
Yeah.
I ran Adidas stores, and then I worked for CarMax. So I had all this retail experience and business experience, but I never really bet on myself until 2022. And
you went all in. You went all in.
And it feels amazing that people are seeing what I can do and what I can do not only for their homes, but I'm doing things now for businesses, small businesses, and I hope to get some larger brand deals as time goes. But it's just a matter of time, and just keep doing the work.
And as an artist, as somebody who lives in their own head 24/7, your staff meetings that you sit in front of a mirror. I get it. And I apologize for always referring to the OMG sign. It's just, it's probably the most publicly well-known story from your work. But every time you see a kid at his Little League game holding up the OMG sign, every time you see a fan smiling, that memory for life is you're a part of that memory for life. You help create that memory for life that this family has. I can't imagine a better gift, a better feeling than, the validation that you're bringing people happiness, you're bringing people joy.
Yeah.
You never see anybody with the OMG sign like this or upset, No, it's a happy thing.
It's always
and I think, I think that's, I think, man, brother, as an artisan and as somebody who creates, as somebody who's a loving, giving person like you are, that's got to be the greatest gift.
Oh, it sure is.
You've given people smiles.
When we were at the block parties during the playoffs, before the game started, I had the large OMG, the 6-foot OMG sign out there with me.
Which was, by the way, the 6-foot OMG sign. All right, if you saw it during the playoffs, J Mac over here is carrying it around like it's a sneaker, right? I lifted that thing. That thing had to weigh 50 pounds.
There's about that.
That was
Yeah.
not a light sign. You're on the plane. You're in the car. You're carrying this thing around. So at least you got your cardio in.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I need it because it was literally like there was no time for exercise throughout all of it. It was just literally work in the shop, go to the game, work in the shop, go to the game, and then work more in the shop.
Yeah.
But no, during the block party, I posted up with this sign, and I'm in between different food vendors. So there's food trucks all around. There's alcohol stations and musical acts performing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the lines, and there are lines for people to get beverages and get food. And they're pretty decent. There's got to be a few thousand people there.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the line for people to come up to me. And this is me not doing anything with them. And nothing to do with the Mets. I just literally brought it. And there were like 100 people waiting in line to take a picture holding this sign, to take a picture with me holding the sign, asking me to autograph their kid's OMG sign that either they got from me or they bought in a team store. And I'm like, is this even real?
Yeah. It's a moment, man. It's a moment.
Such a moment. And I obviously want to think about what this year looks like and bring the heat and do something more fun and more different. But if anything's going to make it into the clubhouse, it can't be forced. It has to be organic.
It's got to be organic.
Yeah.
And you hit it out of the park, no pun intended. And some of your other work, some of the pieces you've done incorporating Wu-Tang, Aaron Judge, there's, so many other things that are awesome, that are, Grail-like in their own rights. One thing I noticed about you, too, there's not as many, there's so many Mets loyalists. And there's like a whole crew of guys who, follow the team closely and are, have their own little sliver of, Mets fandom. You're like the biggest guys outside of the uniform, I would say. But you always look dope. Like your Mets swag is unlike anybody else's. Talk to me about some of your favorite Mets pieces that came in, because last year a lot of fashion brands brought the Mets gear. Yeah,
I mean,
we can even talk about some things that might be coming up that were previewed at Mets Amazing Day.
Yeah, no, I try to stay relevant with what's popping out there. So New York or Nowhere obviously did the next capsule. I'm actually wearing it right now, just coincidentally, because it kind of worked with what I'm wearing. But I know that they're releasing a Mets capsule, and I'm so excited about that. At Siegelman's launch early, I think it might have been like June or July. It might have been July. I was there on day one in the stadium, and I think as soon as the doors opened, I ran into the team store and I gathered up. One of each color, right? Two of each. And I couldn't get on the site quick enough to get the black version. So I kind of missed out there, but I got everything else. But I also really like a lot of the stuff, the creativity that's coming from fans. Like earlier, at the end of last season, I worked with a fellow shoe customizer, but he actually does it for a living. He takes shoes apart and builds them from the ground up. So I sent him a pair of the Mets SB Dunks. He kept the sole because it had a nice gum bottom with the bubble gum on it, and we built up a shoe that I gave him the design of how I wanted the colorway to be, and then we had a couple of conference calls. He's like, well, what if we did this? What if we did this? So I sent him a Justin Verlander jersey after he got traded. He used that as the sock liner for the shoe. He used it on the quarter panels. And then we worked on doing some baseball stitching, and then on the heel it says LFGM and QGTM for Queens Get the Money instead of Nike. And it's a shoe that is one of one. And to me, it was like, I like to wear things that not everyone else has, or things that I know are not going to be, easily accessible. I like a lot of a lot of throwback stuff. I own a lot of old jerseys, but I can't fit them all anymore. So a lot of it now is like harkening back to brands like Mitchell and Ness. They release a lot of great throwback jerseys, so I have a bunch of those, and I love a parking lot tee. Parking lot tees are great. But then, also getting new era hats that are not sold in a team store. So my guys over with the City Boys, they make a lot of these custom hats, and all of their hooks are set to and the hook is obviously the colorway of the hat is set to something that's happening in culture. So it could be an album art that they're kind of naming their hat after. So I like stuff like that. You know, trying to find vintage clothes. So tapping my guy Vintage Mets, who's got one of the biggest collections, and he actually released a couple of hats. He had an "I Love It Here" hat that I wore to a couple of the playoff games, and he's like, "Dude, he's like, you wearing my hat in Milwaukee when Alonso hit that home run? Like, that was super dope." And like, I love that stuff because, you know, if I can help, you know, promote my friend's brand, I'm going to do that. I love what's sold in the team store. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of great stuff, but there's a lot of cool designs that are happening kind of like on the low or underground that I think, you know, there's a new wave of designers that are kind of pushing the envelope out there.
We're here for it all. We're here for it all. You know, talking about your one-of-one sneakers. First of all, they were amazing. You know, I saw those. One of our biggest categories on this year's Sole Free Awards, brought to you by Optics, is the Sneaker of the Year category. So this year there's 5 nominees. I just want your feedback a little bit. You know, of course, we've got the Wu-Tang Dunk, the reissue.
Yeah, great campaign.
You know, campaign was awesome. Campaign was awesome. One, which was just a retail release, the Nike Linen, which was I thought it was one of the cleanest shoes of the year. And then the other 3, of course, we've got Nigel Sylvester's Bike Air, the Grandma's Driveway campaign, which, I mean, I watched that campaign, it just hits home. Like, I just, you know, you could feel your eyes welling up thinking about your grandmother and thinking about playing in her yard or this or that. The Nina Chanel 3s, you know, that collab, the packaging on that, just that green and orange colorway is unbelievable. And, you know, I look at shoes as pieces of art, and especially the final nominee, the Futura Dunks. You know, just to see the Futura, you know, the artist Futura's colorways and his designs brought into a shoe from Futura Laboratories. You know, that you could either put on your feet or put on a shelf in an art gallery. If you had to pick, you know, which way are you leaning for your vote at solefreeradio.com?
You know, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to give an award to a general release. So Wu-Tang's already had their moment in the sun. Like, I think that they would be a good runner-up.
Yep.
But you know, it's between and you know, no disrespect to any of the other designers of course. Here. I love Nina Chanel's release. I thought it was amazing. I'm just not into that colorway. It's too Miami for me.
Yeah.
And nothing against Miami. I love it there.
We like Miami.
We love Miami. So it's between you know, Nigel and Futura, but I'm going to say Futura's because for one, he's an artist that I absolutely respect and adore. He's also a Mets fan.
Yeah,
so
he is.
I gotta give it up to Futura, but and I missed out on the Nigel Bike Air campaign, so I'm waiting for the bricks to come out so I can get my hands on them fully. But yeah, I would say Futura.
Yeah. So man, I can't wait to see you wearing hopefully you cop a pair. And all the other shoes you're going to be wearing at Citi Field all year long. The 2025 season is right here. We can taste it.
Right, yeah, it's
so
right
close.
around the corner. I'm going to be having a new swoosh put on the airships, the Awake airships that came out, because they have that royal blue python on the back of the heel. So we're going to either do an orange python, or we're just going to do a clean orange check.
Those are tight, those shoes. Those shoes are nice.
Check that's there, yeah. So I'm super excited to have those ready for, if not opening day, by like some point when the weather warms up.
Yeah. You know, one last question before we wrap this up. You know, when we were kids, you know, something grabbed us about the Mets. You know, was whether, you know, our parents couldn't afford Yankee tickets, so we went to Shea Stadium. Whatever it was, you know, we gravitated towards the Mets. Besides baseball, obviously, art was a huge part of your growth process. When you were young, you know, who was the person who brought the art out from you? Who was the person who helped you, realize your potential when it came to that?
I had a 6th grade teacher
Okay.
who recognized that there were a lot of creative, kids in his class.
Yeah.
I actually was blessed to have a good 5th grade teacher as well.
Yeah.
But I was drawing as early as I can remember, but teachers from like 5th grade and 6th grade, like those 2 teachers nurtured the creativity that we've had. They, encouraged us to draw, encouraged us to sing, encouraged us to write poetry.
Yeah.
And my 5th grade teacher was absolutely amazing, but when she left the school and we had a new teacher in 6th grade, Mr. Cordero, he had us experiencing all different types of stuff, listening to music from the 60s like the Doors and explaining the poetry behind that, and then challenging us to write poetry. But he also knew that I liked to draw myself. We had done a performance of Cats the year before, and I did the poster board for Cats for our school play.
Nice.
And it wasn't great the way that I approach things now, and I probably would tear it apart. But school helped nurture it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to give the props to my parents. But my parents always told me that you weren't going to make money in art. You weren't going to be able to do that. So you got to find something that can help you make money.
Yeah.
I was always good at math, so business was kind of it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it was that early on, and then I guess the pause afterward. All the time that I took off from leaving high school, early college years, work years, to kind of like what relaunched it. It was the birth of my son. Like when he was like 1 or 2 years old. It was like my way of exciting him and communicating with him, showing him pictures of Batman and Superman and all these different cartoon characters and like action figures that he would want me to draw. And I amassed so many different things that I drew for him. It was like our way of kind of communicating, and I just kept building and trying different mediums, and
love it.
Here we are.
Love it. And you hit it on the nose right there. Every once in a while, and I think it happens more than less. There's a teacher that just hits a student the right way, and can't thank those teachers enough, especially the beautiful ones like that.
Yeah, no, for
Mr.
sure.
Cordero, if you're still out there, you're watching, take pride every time you see this face on TV smiling, because you were a big part of that. And J-Mac, man, thanks for hanging with us. Thanks for being such a big part of the Mets last season. I can't wait to see what happens this year.
Yeah, we got to kick it out of game, Harlan.
Totally.
From like first inning to ninth inning.
I want to get there, but I'm like a 4 o'clock guy like you are.
Yeah.
I like to be there.
Yeah.
And we'll just do it. I don't even need a seat. I'll just walk around. I'll eat. I don't care.
Say less.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's make it happen.
All right. So online, check out J-Mac Customs on Instagram. Order stuff. Get your signs ready. I mean, the Christmas ornament was unbelievable this year.
Huge.
This was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But these guys are still going to be hitting home runs opening day. So order your signs, bring them to the ballpark. Let's go. And once again, thank you to all of our sponsors: Optics, Saucony, Porsche of Huntington, Hugo Boss, and of course everybody here at Drake Media Studios, and producer of the year, Liam. Thanks for hooking up today's show. And I'm the official Harlan on Instagram. We'll see you real soon. Peace.